Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live with me, Daniel Comm. Delighted to be joined by Record Sports Fraser Wilson and Michael Gannon. Guys, how's it going?
Hungry.
All good, guys. Aye, all good. I'm getting into the Halloween spirit, so I'm keeping my mask on.
Classic dad joke, Fraser. You thought that?
No, it's scaring me just looking at him. So where did you get that?
I'm sure
dressed as Shrek.
There'll be plenty more as the night goes on, I'm sure. And hit us with your favourite Halloween joke if you want in the comment section. Let me start with this, guys. It's obviously a Monday evening, fresh from a weekend of Premiership action. And Alan Luff has written in, another weekend where VAR ruins everything we love about football. The experts can say what they want, but we are long past the point where the spontaneity of it no longer exists. And I said to you guys before we come on air there that, 4 big instances this weekend. You've got the Conor Barron potential red card, St Mirren potentially due a penalty, Maeda potentially due a penalty for Celtic, and the St Johnstone winner against Dundee. Just makes you think, what is the point of VAR? What's the point in having it if we still can't get things right?
I'd say there's 2 big incidents. The other 2 are so what?
Which ones?
Conor Barron and Maeda. 10 years ago, they're just incidents. They're not controversial.
You don't think Barron was a red card?
He's a wee guy. Is it a high foot or is it a low head? I don't know. It's that in between, isn't it? When you want, don't look at a still picture. Look at the incident. You've got to go for that ball one way or the other. They've both gone different ways. Was the boy badly hurt?
No, he wasn't. No.
Right, fine. Nah, it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Move on.
Are you of the same opinion, Mick, when it comes to Barron?
Yeah, listen, I think the reason why it's a talking point is because you look back last season, you look at the Yang red card, Celtic against Hearts, don't you? Very kind of similar, the boot dangled up high. But I didn't think that was a red card on the day, and I don't think that's a red card either for the same reasons. In the old days, a high boot would be just a free kick and move on. Was he in a booting? Unless you've caught the guy square in the mush and it's dangerous, I don't think you need to worry too much about it. There's not a lot of malice. There's not a lot of speed in the tackle. There's not a lot of intent. It's not violent. It's just a high boot. Excuse me. So I don't think that. But I say the Yang one last year, I don't think it was a red card either. But the letter of the law, you probably now you could argue either way, I guess. But I still don't think that was particularly bad either. I don't think there's even any contact with that one. So yeah, I don't think that was a red card. The Maeda one, I think, is interesting. I actually think that Maeda gets goal side of the defender and there's an arm across his shoulder. I think that's why he's went down. I think there's a case for a penalty kick there. I think the defender knows he's in bother. He's struggling. He's got an arm across. Is it Stephen O'Donnell? He's got an arm across him. And I think there's a case there for a penalty kick. But no, I don't think it's. Again, we want the VAR to step in when it's clear and obvious. That one is perhaps subjective. The referee doesn't think it's a penalty kick. Could he look at it? Maybe. And change his mind? Maybe. But I think it's subjective and it could go either way. So I don't have a problem with that one at all. St Mirren, I think a bit like the Maeda one. I think they've got a case. I think there's a boot hung out, didn't get the ball, slights of contacts. The boy's turned, hit the deck. I think there's a case for a penalty kick there as well. I think there's a slightly stronger case for St Mirren's penalty kick than the Maeda one, to be honest with you. I think there's maybe more. I think the striker knows there's been some kind of contact and he decides that that's a good opportunity to hit the deck, which as they do. So yeah, I think there's a strong case for a St Mirren penalty kick. That one, if that's given, I don't think you can have any complaints really. And again, but it's one of these ones that's, I suppose, it's subjective, isn't it? And it doesn't matter. Again, VAR's technology gives guys a chance to look at it, but they've still got to have an opinion. Do you know what I mean? The referees are in the hut, they're on the pitch. It's still about opinion. It's still subjective, and some of them see things differently than we do.
I always said VAR's just going to cause even more arguments before it came in, and I wasn't entirely convinced with my argument, but I'm right. It's just, if
you're always going to, any subjective decision you're going to get debate, and I think VAR, what I would rather, I think we're seeing a bit less VAR this season, which is it's a good thing, because I think we're going back to this clear and obvious error thing. So if a referee doesn't see something and the VAR guys think, yeah, that's a clear and obvious error, you need to go back and look at that. That's now come up in the VAR. If it's a case of, yeah, that's subjective, he's gone that way, we might go that way. Maybe there's a higher threshold to say come and look at it. Yeah, I think we have to try and trust our officials at times as well. There might be times when the officials themselves say, I'm not sure, I want to come and look at this, and that's handy to look at it. But again, it still comes down to the guys who are making the decisions. We can watch it 100 times and still. We all listen. I don't know if you've been, Fraser, as well, to the SFA kind of presentation on VAR. I think I did one last year.
I managed to dodge them. I'm lucky. Well, that's me put myself in the firing line now for the next one.
Did you get to the next one? I went to one last year and they showed you certain incidents and all that stuff, and they're saying this a penalty kick, and I'm sitting going, how is that a penalty kick? I mean, I couldn't fathom it. And there's instances that are not penalties. I think that was a penalty kick. So it's subjective, still down to humans making decisions. And when you get humans making decisions, you're going to get debate. So it's not going to go away.
It's the rules, isn't it? The rules are the problem. The rules are so easy to interpret so many different ways, because there's so many different layers to the rules. The big ones being a handball and offside. You know, you have to. Does it meet this threshold? Does it meet that threshold? It used to just be black and white. Yeah. Back in the good old days when my TV was black and white as well. You didn't have the debate. No, I know debate's good. We like to generate debate, but at times it just goes over the top. And to go back to those incidents, I just thought Stephen O'Donnell and Maida was two guys going for a ball. It does look like O'Donnell's arm is maybe a wee bit high. That's what I would say.
I thought he got wrong side. I thought he was wrong side. He was in bother. I thought he was.
And he's trying to get in front of him. Like he's what was the score at the time? I know that doesn't matter. But
it was 0-0, I think, or 1-0. Sorry, it was 1-0 to Celtic.
Maybe that's why it's blown up a wee bit out of proportion. But I could maybe there's an argument. I certainly thought Rangers were a lot more lucky when all your Sanyers going down there. That was a really sloppy challenge. Silly to dip a toe in there. Probably not enough to make Olasanya hit the deck right enough, but we know what modern football's like. So I wouldn't have been surprised if that one got called back and given as a penalty.
Yeah.
In the comment section live, watching on YouTube, John Caw, who is actually no relation as far as I know, he says, Alan Muir, this is the man who cost Neil Lennon his job at Celtic at the Motherwell game. It's a stonewall penalty and red card for Stephen O'Donnell. But David Horn counters it by saying it was never a pen. O'Donnell is in front and just get out muscles made up. Maybe needs to get a bit stronger. So, to be fair to the officials, it's like you say, Mick, it's very far from being clear cut.
Yeah. I think there's a wee arm across the shoulder, which you could then make a case for a penalty kick in that circumstances. But again, it's 50-50. I mean, you could go either side of it, really. I think with that one. The one you mentioned the one at Dens Park. I was at Dens Park at the weekend. Not a Scooby what was going on. Still not. I'll be honest with you, I did not have a Scooby what was happening. The Dens Park, in fairness, in my defence, the Dens Park press box isn't exactly the greatest view in the world either. So I'm sitting behind about 3 stanchions when this or 3 big poles when the ball's getting in the back of the net. So not a clue what happened. Not a Scooby. And quite clearly, nobody had a Scooby what was going on, including the officials in the VAR hut as well. A really weird situation. I mean, the ball's getting whipped in. The defender, I think it was Nielsen, got the header on it. It's hit off, I think, Kim Pioka. And it's hit off Simon Murray's arm, I think, at some point. It's spun to Nicky Clark, and he's knocked it in from about 4 inches out. There's about 140 people in the box at the time. I mean, a total melee. I couldn't understand. I mean, the ball just appears in the back of the net. So you think, what's happened there? It took 6.5 minutes.
That's mad.
6.5. The game finished well after 5 o'clock. I mean, it ruined my dinner on Saturday night time I got home. I mean, completely selfish. Dinner was in the dog. I didn't even got a dog. It was just. It was just
my dinner of the night.
It was just. I've got a bit of sympathy with officials because the guys in the VAR are relying on the technology and the camera angles and what we've got. And unfortunately, in Scotland, we've gone for kind of VAR, kind of the cheapo option.
Aye.
We've gone the kind of Aldi route with VAR, unfortunately.
Diet VAR.
Rather than the Premier League Waitrose version. So they've got Hawkeyes and all that stuff and all this, they can tell you right away. So the camera angle wasn't great, and there was no way they could tell whether or not it was offside. I've got a slight problem because the rule book. I mean, again, we're back to the rule book, aren't we? They couldn't figure out whether or not he was offside, so they couldn't give it. Therefore, but the argument was the referee said that or the VR said, well, anyway, there's a handball on there anyway, so it's either a penalty kick or we give the goal. And we can't really rule the goal out. So not enough evidence to allow the goal to be ruled out. I mean, Tony Docherty, excuse me. I think he was thinking, well, if you're not sure, you think it's offside, but you can't prove it, then surely just give the penalty kick and give them a chance. And I take that point. I think the common sense, like if it had been a Saturday morning game or a junior game, Fraser and all that stuff, I mean, would the common sense approach not be right? Something's not right here. We think it might be offside. We're not really sure. You know what? Give you a penalty and we'll toss the coin, we'll roll the dice and take it for there. I mean, that's what I think the common sense thing to do was. But I get the rules, the way it's structured is they can't really do that. I just think in the interest of fairness, I think, well, if there's a suspicion of offside but you can't prove it, then give the penalty and at least then you say, well, it was a penalty kick no matter what. There's no doubt it was a penalty kick. If they score the penalty, nobody can complain. Miss the penalty, then they might say, listen, the goal should have stood because it's a van. I don't know. It was a real messy situation. I've got a bit of sympathy for the officials because they can't tell, they can't make that call, they can't guess. They're reliant on the technology, which isn't that great. Therefore, occasionally these are the things that are going to pop up that's going to cause a problem. The offside ones in this country, I think, are sometimes a wee bit ropey because of the technology we've got.
My issue with it is if he was offside, it's fractional. It's got to be, isn't it?
But it doesn't matter if you're offside, you're offside.
And well, this is my point, right? So that I always think the rules are the problem here, more than VAR, more than the official. It's the rules. So we know that Arsene Wenger's trialled this thing over in Switzerland, this new offside rule, which I'd get right behind, where you're only offside if your entire body is beyond the last defender. That would make things so much clearer. So Nicky Clark clearly would be well onside because you'd only basically need your heel still to be in line with the last defender and he'd be onside.
We don't know that. It's still in. His head might have been behind. I mean,
I don't think he'd be running very fast if that was the case, but any party, just the slightest millimetre is in line and you're onside. It just be much clearer.
End up arguing about that as well. Someone's got a toenail. Keep the guy on side and all that stuff. I don't like the fractions. I agree with you, I don't like the fractions in terms of the offsides and all that. So I don't like that the kind of fraction approach. But if you're either on or you're off. So if you're offside, at the moment you're offside. So even if it's
so what, was he onside then or was he off?
Nobody knows. This is the thing. Nobody knows.
I know. I'm putting you on the spot,
man. Not a clue because
he was either on or off, but we just don't know.
Pre-VAR that goes in. I don't think because the angles that they can't tell, nobody's even debating offside. So only because we've got VAR, we're debating it. So
exactly, that's a good point.
I've got a bit of sympathy for everyone involved, including the officials and Tony Docherty and all that stuff. Because the problem as well is that 6.5 minutes. I mean, like I say, the game is way beyond 5 o'clock. I mean, just.
I noticed Simo Valakari enjoyed when it was eventually given.
I was going to say I've got a lot of time for that.
I think he's going to be a great. I think he's going to be a great addition to Scottish football. Actually, he was actually doing that before the game. He walked out, kind of chest pumping and whipping up the crowd and all that stuff. I think I said that my match sport today. He walked out like he was going to stage at Teen Park down the road. He's got the earrings and all that.
He looks it.
He does. He looks like he should be playing backing guitar for John Bon Jovi or something like that.
I'm all for that.
So he's going to be good. I mean, listen, I thought he spoke really well. He was quite pleased with the way the official handled him. Kevin Clancy up, and it was weird because nobody had a clue what was going on. Right, 6 minutes. I said we're sitting about like this. What's happening here? Not a clue. He spent all the time looking at the screen, caught up with the countdown for 10 minutes, whatever he was doing, and then he walked back and he pulled the two managers together. So nobody still didn't have a clue what happened. And I think he basically said to him, "Listen, guys, it took so long because." Couldn't see the offside, but it was a penalty anyway. So, and he tried to explain it as best he could. which I think was pretty good officiating, but not good for the 6,500 folk in the crowd who pay the money to get into the game, who are sitting going like that. How is this game going to finish? It's the last kick of the ball.
Well, that's the point.
Paying 35 quid and above for a ticket are the ones left completely in the dark, wondering if my team get a point or 3 points. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem I've got, is that the paying punters, and not the poke at home and all that sort of stuff, the paying punters are the ones who are sitting there at 5 p.m. wondering what the heck is going on. And that's the big problem with VAR.
And the journals. So the on-field referee gave the goal, right? Clancy gave the goal.
Yes.
So VAR has caused the problem. If there's no VAR, the goal stands.
Good point.
VAR's flagged up saying, right, we need to look for, first of all, there's a handball, but if you play the advantage of the goal, but there's a potential here that we think it might be offside. We can't really see it from down the lines. You need to come and look at this and see what you think, how to unravel this. So that,
3 years ago, goals given, everyone goes home, which was the outcome anyway. But 10 minutes later.
I think the VAR guys should have cut that at the pass and spent 1 minute looking at it, saying we can't see if it's offside, goal given, and then nobody's any wiser. The fact you could say they're too conscientious. I think there should be a bit more confidence. I think VAR in general should have a clock on it. I think if you can't find it in a minute, it doesn't happen. Because see if it's not identifiable in 1 minute, it's not clear and obvious. So move on. You get a minute to check it and move on. That's what you get. I think there should be a clock on it. Because if it's not clear and obvious, you have to go so forensic that it takes more than a minute. It's not clear and obvious. Therefore, play on. On-field decision count, or whatever it is.
You mentioned earlier about the English having the Sainsbury's version and us having the whatever. The Waitrose version.
So I've heard that's quite nice, but
I didn't know they sell VAR in there either. But the Premier League clubs are voting to win last season. What's that? They were voting to win it last year, so it can't be that much better, if any better at all.
That's what I mean. There's always going to be debate when there's human beings operating. Until we get AI Autobots running it, when our robot overlords take over and start running the show, there's going to be debate because there's human beings behind it. Simple as that.
Let me hit you with a few comments, guys, that are coming in. Mac John, who's watching live on YouTube, it was definitely a penalty when Dyson was taken down in the box. Sure, there'll be chuckers in the VAR show when Willie says we got that one wrong. Anne Wood says, Daniel, move yourself over a bit. It looks like you get 2 bunny ears at your position. I think that's the lights behind me. I did actually move over, and Anne very helpfully wrote better. But this one, Mick, I'll throw this one at you. Stephen Mulhern. I was concerned that with Callum McGregor missing in the midfield, Celtic would miss his influence, but McCowan stepped up to the plate magnificently and looks an absolute bargain. At third part yesterday, not just Luke McCowan, who I did think was great, but Lennon Miller as well. I thought he really stood out for Motherwell.
Aye. I'm showing my age. But Lennon Miller, he's a player. Every time I see him, I've been impressed with him. I think he is a proper baller, 18 years old. His first half display against Celtic was top notch. I mean, he hit the woodwork a couple of times. But his general play, his movement is good, his positional sense is good. He's very mature on the ball. Yeah, I think he's emerging as probably the best talent we've got right now in Scotland, that age group. A real player. Big future, isn't he? I would like to see him, and I know there's a lot of fever talk about him moving. I'd like to see him stay a bit longer at Motherwell. I mean, I think he's probably Motherwell's best player. Well, he is Motherwell's best player. I'd like to see him stay a bit longer and get the 100 games under his belt, even the 150, like your kind of Kieran Tierney's and these kind of guys that eventually go and move on to bigger things. I'd like to see him stay a wee bit longer, just keep going, keep progressing. And the one thing is for sure is he's going to make Motherwell a fortune. I think what's the record? Is it 3 million for 3.2 for Turnbull?
David Turnbull, aye.
I think he'll eclipse that one when he does go. But I hope he stays a bit longer. Maybe even if you get someone come in early and hit him a big money bid and then loan him back for a season, something like that would be good. I wouldn't want him to go down the route like some real big club in England or abroad, snapping him up for 3.5-4 million quid. And then stick him in a B team or reserves for a couple of seasons, or put him on loan to the Austrian second division or something. I wouldn't want that. I like to see him progressing and playing 100 odd games and then really kicking on. But yeah, he's a top prospect. Yeah, it really is top notch.
What? And fresh from our bunny ears comment is written in again. Celtic should buy Miller. I fear though he may go to England. And I'll put this one to both of you that I think actually Miller should be a player that Rangers are really breaking their neck to try and sign, because Celtic kind of feels like they've got they cornered the market on exciting young Scottish players, and I think Rangers need to kind of break that if they're going to come back at Celtic at all.
Because they go in there and play regular football. I'm only thinking about the boy himself and what's best for him, and there's absolutely no doubt he is in the best place for for his development. He's only 18, isn't he? He's still 18. He's playing every week. He's the key man in a Premiership midfield. He's playing against top level opposition, as we saw yesterday. He's got a manager that dotes on him, and Stuart Kettlewell. If any manager looks after players, Stuart Kettlewell looks after his players. But on top of that, he's got his dad at home, who's obviously an excellent influence on him as well. He's got everything. Just everywhere he turns, he's got experience and he's got folk looking after him. He's playing at the top level. I think even if he went to Rangers, I don't think he'd be playing week in, week out. There's a demand there. And the place Rangers are in right now, I just don't think it'd be a good fit for a young boy of his age and his development. I think it might stunt him a bit. I just feel another season and a half at Motherwell, and he'd still only be touching 20. Let's not rush the boy. I think he's in the best place. And I agree with Mick, he's such a talent, because on top of all that, he's great on the ball. His work rate off it's brilliant. Is the full package.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm talking about, the kind of buying a loan back. I mean, you could see like Celtic perhaps spending £4 million and loaning him back for a season and keeping tabs on him. I don't think Rangers in the position they're in now, just financially, I don't think that kind of deal would perhaps suit them. The weird thing is that they'll need, if they want to get him, they'll need to get him pretty soon, because otherwise they're not going to be able to afford them. Yeah. And if he does make a move somewhere else, he'll kick on, he'll be gone for dust. A bit like a kind of Lewis Ferguson type guy that you couldn't afford down the line. So it would be smart business to spend £3.5 million, £4 million now and loan him back. But I say Celtic could probably do it and take that punt and let him have a season at Motherwell developing. I don't think Rangers are in a position they could spend £4 million on a long-term development. They could loan him back for a season. I think if they're spending £4 million, they need a guy to come into the team straight away. They're trying to compete for Celtic and try and get that gap closed. So I don't think they can put £4 million on a long-term project like that, even though they probably should. I just don't think I don't think in their immediate future that's a feasible kind of move. But again, there's a bit of you thinking it'd be good to see him maybe doing another season, and then maybe even trying a lot abroad. I mean, I look at the boys doing Italy.
The Italians are watching them, eh? I bet the Italians are watching them.
Yeah, you see Hickey doing
right now.
So something like that I think would be great for the kid. But there's time. He's got plenty of time.
Just before we move on from that particular game, guys, Chloe K has written in on YouTube saying, do you guys agree that Brendan should rest Scales on Wednesday to allow CCV and Trusty to build a partnership, not replacing Scales, but just to rotate the team? It was interesting, Mick, to see Cameron Carter-Vickers back in the Celtic team. Do you think that is the long-term partnership at the heart of Celtic's defence?
I don't think you can look. I mean, Liam Scales has been phenomenal. I mean,
he's been amazing. He's been brilliant.
I was over in Italy for the game at Atalanta. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. By the way, so Austin Trusty was also immense. I mean, the two of them were terrific. In fairness, I think Atalanta weirdly played right into Austin Trusty's wheelhouse. I mean, a guy who's played a lot in football in England in the Championship. Been dealing with cross balls, you'd actually see him, his eyes lighting up at one point. He had about 5 in a row, bumped them out the park, and you see this is right up his street. Loved it. But Scales alongside him was terrific. And that's a back four that's pretty inexperienced together. I thought did really well. Scales the man. I think he's got the jersey and he's going to take some shifting. Carter-Vickers, you've got to assume is going to be the main man. He just needs to stay fit for a longer period of time. He's had a pretty ropey time of it over the last couple of seasons. So he just needs a long period of time just being fit week in, week out. Carter-Vickers' record, I mean, I need to go through all the stats. I think he's lost about 2 league games in 3 years.
Very few
games. When he plays, very, very seldom in Celtic drop points. He's such a solid strong, positionally great defender. I think he is the main man at Celtic, but he just needs to stay fit. The good thing with Celtic is that they've got guys that they can trust in there. In terms of resting scales, yeah, perhaps. Listen, it's October. It's not as if it's like we've not played 50 games. I mean, it's early in the season. If you're feeling tired in October, you need to get checked. You need to get checked. I mean, that's a bit. I mean, you know, I've got to check. I'm a middle aged man. I'm knackered. But I don't think you can say that they're tired at this point in time. I mean, if they've got niggling injuries and all that stuff, yeah, they take them out of the team and rest them. I think like Callum McGregor at the weekend, just rest them up from a wee niggling injury. There's been a few others. But if he's fit, I think he's fine to play. So we're not at the stage we need to rest players. Plus, he's a centre half. They're not doing 15 kilometres a game. Do you know what I mean? So no, I mean, I think more of the case of getting game time. I think Trusty's really benefited of getting games to get up to speed. So I think he looked a bit rusty when he first came in.
Yeah.
But like you say, they want to get Carter Vickers up and running again and get him fit again. It's not a bad problem to have. They'll get guys that can come in and do the job pretty well. So it's a nice headache to have.
Yeah. P. McLaughlin watching live on YouTube says CCV and Starfelt lost one game domestically 2 seasons together. I still think Celtic let Starfelt go madly cheap. But anyway, that's for another day. Fraser, I want to hit you with this. Neil Renton, the famous Hotline contributor. I'd like to praise Heart striker Lon Shankland for getting into the spirit of Halloween. He turned up to the derby against Hibs dressed as the Invisible Man. You were at Easter Road yesterday, Fraser. Is that a fair summation of Shankland's showing?
Let's just start by pointing out Neil Renton's missed his surname off there, which is Leith. Neil Renton Leith's his full name, which gives a wee clue as to his leanings. Just because the boy's no scoring goals doesn't mean he's no contributing. I think I said this to you the other day, Daniel. His work rate's still there. Ask the 2 Hibs centre-halves if Lawrence Shankland went missing. And both of them played very well, by the way. They'll tell you, nah, he was all over it. He was all over them, but they just matched it. Look, they should have scored for one of his assists. They put Kenny Vargas through in the first half, and it took a really good diving block from Marvin Ekpiteta to deny that. As I said to you again, he's provided 3 really good assists in the last 4 games. But look, they've got young James Wilson now. Anyway, so who needs Lawrence Shankland's goals? That's 2. What is that? I think he came on for 12 minutes against St Mirren, the young lad, 17-year-old. And then he came on for 16 minutes yesterday. 2 goals in those 2 substitute appearances. And he's already Hearts' second top scorer for the season. So who needs Lawrence Shankland? James Wilson's the future. He did have to go home and do his schoolwork, right enough.
15 games and 1 goal, Mick, this season for Lawrence Shankland. It's quite a big fall off in terms of goals, if not work rate.
Yeah, it's not like him. I mean, was it 30 got last year? Really isn't like him. And it's that's been part of the reason why Hearts have struggled. I mean, they're so reliant on his goals. I think last season, he got 30. The next top scorer was Vargas with 6, and I think the next one was own goal. It was like, I mean, the reliance on him is so heavy. You just think maybe the time to have gone would have been the summer for Lawrence. I'm surprised that there wasn't more interest in him. He has gone off the boil a wee bit. It's just no falling for him. It's like strikers. It's like sometimes in the groove and everything goes right for them. I mean, last year it was banging it all over the shot, derby goals, you name it.
They were just instinctive things for the edge of the box. Mind one against Hibs, one against Dundee, one against Ross County. Just did without thinking. Outside the boot, bang, top corner. That's the one difference. He's taking those extra touches now and the chance is gone. So clearly there's a wee confidence issue with him, I would say. Yeah, he just needs to get up and run, doesn't he? He needs a good game. He gets a couple of goals and get up and run again. Listen, he's a natural goal scorer. I mean, he's proved it over a long period of time. He's not. Listen, you can't write him off. He was one of the top striker in the country last year. But it's just been a tough old time for him, isn't it? He could do with just getting that kind of feeling to be back in the goals again.
See, before we finish, guys, we haven't really mentioned Rangers an awful lot today, aside from the refereeing decisions. But I have to hit you with some comments here because we've had so many comments in over the weekend on Record Sports Facebook and social media channels. Ian Teal says, definitely isn't going to get any better under Clement. The football is awful. The fans will continue to lose interest We'll continue to limp over the line against lesser teams. Alex Gibbons says, anyone else at stage not listening to Clement's interviews anymore, or is it just me? And Stu finishes up by saying the fact our fan base is genuinely worried about facing Aberdeen speaks volumes about where we are as a club. Simply unacceptable. I mean, Mick, I think if Philip Clement is to turn this around, he's got a mammoth, humongous job in his hands.
Yeah, listen, it's all hard work for Rangers right now, isn't it? It's hard. It's hard to. I mean, the European game against Stour was a rare kind of comfortable night for them. They could enjoy, but the rest of it's been a bit of a slog. Domestically, every game seems to have been a bit hard work, isn't it? But like, listen, they've also won since losing to Celtic. They've won 7-9. Lyon was our defeat, and obviously the Kelly defeat was a bad one. So they've won. They have won games. It's just that it's not been particularly pretty at times. I mean, St Johnstone at home, Hibs at home, even was it Ross County as well. It's all been a bit of a struggle, really. That game at the weekend, the first half, I thought they were pretty poor again. Bit better second. Just find it hard to find. I think they find it hard going against domestically, especially against teams that are kind of well organised and hard to beat. They're not getting any freebies. They're not getting any kind of 3-4-0s. Celtic are getting like weeks that are like. I don't think Celtic played that great on Sunday against Motherwell, and yet they win 3-0.
Yeah.
Make it look a bit easier than it was. I don't think they were quite at their fluid best. I think you take McGregor out of the team, that they're not quite free flowing as usual. But Rangers, when they're not quite their best, they make heavy weather of it. And I get that the punters are not feeling as though they're getting entertainment at the moment, especially domestically. They're not really getting a bang for their buck. They don't see fast, exciting football. It's all laboured. It's all pretty low key, isn't it? We're still trying to figure a way out what their style is under Clement. I don't think they're buying the stuff he's saying. That, I mean, listen, we know he came out and said at the start of the season we'll see the real Rangers in October. Well, we're now at the end of October, and he's now promising jam next month or the month after. I mean, he's talking about the players taking up time to settle. Aberdeen I've got 6 new players in their team in that squad on Saturday night, and they're top of the league by Saturday night and winning games. And albeit their expectations are not as high as Rangers, and I think they've also had to struggle to get by in certain games, but they're also not spent anywhere near what Rangers spent, and their wage bill was nowhere near what Rangers' wage bill is. So that we're getting to 10 games into the season plus European games, still saying that players need to settle into the team. I don't think that washes anymore. It's nearly November. It's Halloween this week. I mean, we're well underway now. I don't think you can keep playing this card that, it's new signings, they're going to take time to settle. We're used to Scottish football. You don't get that luxury in Scotland.
Are we in the territory now? Obviously, Rangers Aberdeen at Pittodrie on Wednesday night, which I think is going to be a cracker. Fraser, do you think we're in the territory where if Aberdeen win that game, Clement could be sacked? I mean, I don't know who'd sack him right enough. But
funny you mention that because 3 years ago Gerrard left of his own volition. They brought in Van Bronckhorst, the right classy operator, and then the following November binned despite taking them to a European final, which I still thought was an incredible decision. Where might they be now? But that's
winning the Scottish Cup and getting into the Champions League.
Yeah, that wasn't good enough for some. So then moving on another year, and McBeal got the bin, and now we've moved on another year, and this could be the 4th October/November in the year that they could decide to change manager. So where are they going with all this? I'm not saying that's a reason not to, but I'd be inclined to stick by him. I mean, John Gilligan said himself when he came out and did the presser, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks ago, right enough, that Philip Clement won him over in his 1-to-1. He went in there as a interim chairman, and that he actually went on record and said he backs him to win something this season, to be successful this season. So he's got to stand by those words. I mean, who is going to? That's a big question. Who would make the decision to sack him? As Mick said, he's won 7 out of 9 without playing particularly well. Take Leon out of that, it's only been one bad result. The performances haven't been great, but Aberdeen fans are saying the same thing. They might not be playing well, but they keep winning. So I tell you, to not even answer your question, what a game Wednesday night's going to be. And Rangers need a statement win. That would certainly be a statement win. I just don't see them getting it.
But the thing is, if they get beat at Pittodrie, you're talking about going 9 points behind after
9 points.
games.
That's mad.
I mean, when Van Bronckhorst was sacked in October, 9 points behind. Michael Beale was sacked 7 points behind after 7 games. So they're back. If they don't win on Wednesday, they're right back in that same position they were in the previous 2 years.
I get the point, Fraser, that you say, but obviously they can't just keep sacking managers every October, November. But Mick, both things can be true. They can't keep sacking managers, but this isn't the right manager, perhaps.
I don't quite follow that logic that they can't do it because they keep doing it, so they need to stop doing it. I mean, that's literally like saying, "Well, we just need to stick with better devil, because we don't." And I don't get that argument. I mean, Aberdeen kept sacking managers and they finally a good one.
Eventually stumble upon the right. Well, I don't know if Jimmy Thelen will be the right one, but he's doing all right.
It's been a long time since I was in the dating game. If you're out in 100 dates and you stick with one because you can't, you want to go another one. I mean, does that the music stops? Stuck with the one you've got.
Because I totally agreed with him being in Michael Beale last year when you can see it's just not working. I just think the results at the moment. I mean, Mick Beale lost 3 of his first 7. I don't know. I just think there's something about Philippe Clement. I don't know whether it's his success in other countries, his backstory, that I've just been inclined to give him a bit longer to show a wee bit of faith in him. I think we'll agree he was dealt a bad hand in by the signing, the transfer window before he came in.
The problem is the Rangers fans need to see something. They need to see something to hang on to. I mean, you go back to the kind of Ange Postecoglou's first season at Celtic, and he struggles in his first kind of few months. You could see what he was trying to do, and so he got a wee bit of leeway to implement it. But a year down the line, we felt, come on, it's a year down the line, over a year now. The fans aren't seeing enough to suggest where they're going. And the problem is that these results, I mean, we're talking about, it's a big cliche that you playing not well and getting results, right, is a good sign usually. Yeah, once in a while, not every week. Yeah. If you're playing not well and getting results, some point that's going to bite you in the backside. And that's the fear of Rangers fans, is that they're getting these results by hook or by crook, not particularly impressing, hanging on at the end of games and all that stuff. And they know that at some point this is going to bite them again in the backside. It happened at Kilmarnock, it happened against Celtic, it happened against Hearts. It's going to bite them in the backside again, and they can see they're waiting for the next bite in the buttocks. You know what I mean? That's the problem. They need to be seeing a bit more progress in terms of things coming together and the bigger picture. And like you say, a big win at Pittodrie could be that spark. And I think they've got it in them. I mean, there's players in that team. I mean, I'm a wee bit surprised at this kind of Aberdeen are favourites kind of thing, right? Likewise, Aberdeen have got results and their position is great. A few of the games they didn't play particularly great and they got results. Again, at some point they're going to start. These games are going to swing the other way and they'll start dropping points. I think they've got enough in the toolbox to hang about up the top end for most of the season. I think they've got a good manager, a decent squad. He's got a tune out of them. I think they'll be fine. They will start dropping points here and there and everywhere at some point, but they've got a good enough squad. I think they'll nail down third by a mile, potentially second. It depends on what happens across Ibrox, because I think Celtic are too strong this season. But if I don't quite buy this, Aberdeen are big favourites for this game. I can see where it comes from, but I don't quite buy it. But Rangers are going to need to do something different out there. I mean, and Aberdeen are very, very dangerous. I mean, especially on the counter-attack as well. It looks like a dangerous game for Rangers. They need to turn up and produce something like their kind of European-style performances. I mean, Bucharest, I think we need to take account how they weren't particularly great, but Malmo was a good performance. They need to do something special. Otherwise, if they get beat, the manager is going to be under so much pressure. Much pressure.
The most damning stat of them all is the fact they've scored 1 goal away from home in the league this season, which does not bode well for Pittodrie at all.
Aye.
But time will tell.
Mick, you mentioned there about Aberdeen being favourites. We actually did a story on Record Sport Online today that Rangers are actually the favourites with the bookies at the moment.
The bookies, yeah.
David,
opinion now.
Aye, of course. David Robbo, mark my words, Aberdeen are the real deal. Almost 3-1. If you're a gambling man, you can get on Aberdeen, which just seems
decent.
Very decent indeed. I guess there's not a lot more we can really say about that game Wednesday because it's on Wednesday, and I guess we'll see what happens. But that will be an absolute cracker, I suspect. Guys, I think that brings us to the end of Monday night's Hotline Live with Record Sport. Thank you very much for sending in your comments. And we'll be back to do it all again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Mick, Fraser, thanks very much.
Bon appetit.
Guys. All the best.
Cheers, guys. And thanks for watching.